Between 1923 and 1930, Spain was under a fascist-inspired military dictatorship led by Primo de Rivera, who assumed power with the endorsement of King Alfonso XIII. In 1931, elections were held for an Assembly Constituent. Anarchists, communists, and socialists conquered about 70% of the vote. The king renounced the throne, and in April 1931, the Assembly proclaimed the Republic. In this, a democratic Spain was emerging. The new rulers put into practice a series of changes, such as promoting the separation of church and state, implemented educational, labor, and agrarian reform. On one side, the Popular Front brought together democratic Republican sectors and groups of the left, supported by the workers and a part of the middle class. On another side, the Falange, with a fascist tendency, grouped together large military landowners and representatives of the church and the urban bourgeoisie. The right won the 1933 elections and sought to nullify all laws approved in 1931. 3 years later, in 1936, the left won the majority of votes and returned to power. The new government granted amnesty to political prisoners, increased workers' wages, and resumed agrarian reform processes. The political polarization in Spain reached its culmination. The assassination of a monarchist leader by left-wing gunmen served as a trigger for an armed uprising against the government. In July 1936, Spanish troops led by General Francisco Franco, linked to the Falange, rebelled in Morocco, which was a Spanish colony in Africa. Thus began the Spanish Civil War, which divided the Spanish territory. The military believed they would have a quick victory, but they were surprised by the strong resistance of the population, who armed themselves and set up barricades in the streets of several Spanish cities. Realizing that the Republican resistance would be long, the military resorted to external assistance. As a result, the war in Spain gained international dimensions. The governments of Italy and Germany sent soldiers, weapons, ammunition, tanks, and armed vehicles in support of the troops. The government of Portugal, which was under the dictatorship of Antonio Salazar, sent 13,000 soldiers to fight the Republicans, while U.S. companies provided weapons, trucks, and mainly oil to General Franco's forces. The government of the Soviet Union, in turn, collaborated with the Republicans, providing them with weapons, ammunition, planes, war vehicles, and sending them specialists in armament and combat. In addition, approximately 50,000 volunteers from 53 countries formed the international brigades and fought against the Falangists. Despite having the sympathy of intellectuals, the Spanish Republican government did not get the support of the European democracies and the government of the United States, which preferred to adopt a policy of no intervention. To make matters worse, from 1938, the Soviet government increasingly reduced its presence in the conflict, which significantly weakened the strength of the Republicans. The war ended in 1939, leaving a toll of 1 million dead. Falangists won, and Franco took power as a dictator, which he held until his death